What is lurking in the forests in Georgia? Could there be a menacing, bird-like creature? Or is it just the imagination of two young boys running wild? Today, we test the believability of the phoenix in the forest.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That is right. Listen, before we started this, we were talking about okay, well, I guess we should just say this. We are now doing listener submissions as regular episodes. But my point being that we were talking about how we never used to do the listener submission intros like that, and how it was more casual, like we were untying the tie. But you put your hood up for that intro, and now I want to do this episode with a hood on, so I'm doing it.
I don't know, my buttons keep hitting my headphones,
Hold
so
on.
it sounds super loud.
I'm gonna rock it for now. I feel very. I don't want. I was gonna say Bill Belichick, but I don't like it. He's a loser now.
I don't know. I like this. This feels kind of like E.T., but weird.
Okay, so just to get it out of the way, yes, we are doing listener submissions on Tuesday now. We don't want to get too much into it about what's coming, what's around the corner, but we do have new stuff coming. We have new content, a lot of new content coming, and that would make doing Tuesday and Friday bonus episodes a little bit much.
Difficult.
Yes, that. And also, we have a lot of listener submission episodes on deck. I was just looking through it in our folders, and if we exclusively save them for when we have extra time to do episodes on Friday, I mean, there would be some that we would not get to for a very long time.
Yeah. We just got another one yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, yeah,
so we got another one on deck. Awesome. So if anybody out there wants to submit a story to be put on Believing the Bizarre, like this one right here, go to our website, www.believingthebizarre.com, go to submit your experience, fill out that form. It's fun. Please provide as much detail as possible. If you give us 2 sentences, chances are we won't do your episode. But, make it juicy. Give us all the good drama.
Yeah, I think we talked about last time. I live for the gossip.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie knows drama like TNT. So hit us up with all that. And if you want your story on the podcast, we have quite a few on deck. We are getting to them. So if you've submitted and you're like, what the hell? I want my story told. I want to be famous. I want the followers. I want the clout. Chill. We're getting to it. We will get to you.
We're just people.
We're just folk. We're just simple folk. A couple of microphones. All right. So that being said, I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. And these aren't taking over, by the way. Listener submissions aren't taking over our normal content, and they won't be back to back.
Right. No, it's just once a month.
Maybe a little more.
Maybe sometimes a month.
I feel like we got to do more than once a month to get these. Otherwise, people that submit now, they're not going to hear them this year.
Okay, so not back to back, but
we can't do them back to back, and we bounce back and forth. So every 3 weeks,
yeah,
maybe we'll see. They'll be coming.
That's such a loose schedule. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, just join us for this ride, and we are going to Georgia today.
Ooh,
we've been through Georgia? You've been through Georgia?
Yeah, I actually like Georgia a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I think it's really pretty.
I think you're going to like this story a lot.
All right, I'm excited.
You ready to dive in?
Yeah. So before we start really quick, one of my favorite urban legends is based in Georgia.
Is it the water thing?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? The city underwater?
Yeah.
Oh, so creepy.
See, what I was trying to do was, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but when I was reading the story, first of all, I'm like, well, this is a regular episode now, so I have to do research. So I was like, let me see if there's any other things in this area that resembles what happened here. And I don't want to get too ahead, so I'll just say I did see what you were talking about.
Okay, all right.
The fishy thing.
Yeah.
The big fishy thing. Georgia's Loch Ness, kind of.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
So this story takes place in Dallas, Georgia, not home of the Cowboys.
Okay.
And it takes place in 2014. So for those of you that are geography freaks like Charlie, Dallas is a city in northwest Georgia. So if you're picturing Georgia, you need to picture this city on a map.
By Tennessee?
I don't know.
Yes, it's by Tennessee.
So, what I'm going to take some creative liberties and call a cryptid encounter involves our narrator, Ian, who sent us the story. Thank you, Ian, for submitting, and his friend Sam, which Sam is an alias for privacy reasons. Not that you care, not that you need to know that. Not you, but the collective you.
Yeah, the royal you.
So this is about Ian and Sam. So Ian was born and raised in Dallas, Georgia, and he stayed with his grandmother, who lived in a neighborhood that was connected to a good-sized forest. His words. Or woods. What is the difference between forests and woods to you? Because when I hear woods, I think like I'm in my backyard, I'm going hunting, it's my woods. I don't hunt, but you know what I'm saying. But forest, I imagine like I need a machete to cut through these thick vines.
So it's like forest for me is not close to any kind of urban environment.
Like Dallas, Georgia.
Yeah, but a woods would be like close to houses and stuff.
Okay.
So like maybe like a suburb or something.
I wonder if there's like a specific amount of space that it can be to a town.
45 meters.
It's like, man, I wanted to be a forest.
It's in meters.
God. So one thing that made Ian's childhood a whole lot better was the fact that there was a boy around the same age that lived next door to him, who of course is Sam. And they quickly became best friends. They spent a ton of time playing in the woods like kids be doing. Quick note on their friendship dynamic. Sam always took the leadership role and had a very fearless type personality.
So he was like the Red Power Ranger?
I didn't watch.
Yes. Okay. All right.
There's
bad analogy.
Red, black, pink, white, yellow?
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Good job.
Ian can recount numerous times where Sam would save Ian from simple things like being caught in a game of hide and seek to more serious moments like catching Ian and pulling him up when he was falling off a tree branch.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so he was there for him. They were like bros. They were bros. Sam always seemed to be in control and have a plan, which worked out great in their younger years. You know, they would build bows and arrows, and they even created a bamboo bridge that they used to cross over a stream.
Careful about that bridge of
Terabithia?
Yeah, careful with that.
Dude, I apologize. You know, let me give you a little behind the scenes curtain look here. Part of humor is references and riffing off of references. I have not gotten one reference that you've made. I don't watch Power Rangers. I didn't watch Bridge of Terabithia. There was one more you made that I already got.
Oh
I apologize because you're
you just shut me down.
Let me open up the curtain even more. Whoever's telling the story is focusing on telling the story, and it's kind of like the other person to be like the color commentator to like serve up jokes here and there. But if we're not on the same page, it's just I'm being too hard on myself.
The girl dies in Bridge of Terabithia.
Spoiler alert. What if I want to watch it?
I mean, it's sad. It's a sad movie. Sad book, too.
Anyways. That's not a word. Anyways. It's like irregardless.
I was going to let it pass.
I appreciate that. The fun and the games in the forest ended around the time that the boys became early teens. On a late spring evening, around 8 p.m. or so, Ian and Sam were playing on Sam's back porch. And it was around that time where like the sun had set from the sky, but there was still like that little bit of glow. Like there was like, it's when the sky is a bunch of different colors. Like there's like the really dark parts really up right above you. And then the closer it gets to the horizon, it's lighter. You know what I'm talking
about. It's like
about.
Twilight?
Like, yeah, that. I've seen that.
It's not even a reference. It's just what it's called.
I'm ready for more. Do you have more for me?
I don't.
Team
Nope.
Edward? No? Okay. Anyway, Sam's porch was pretty large, and they would often play one-on-one soccer, another thing I don't know anything about, kicking the ball back and forth and trying to protect their goal behind them. And obviously being young boys and not international soccer stars, it wasn't uncommon that the ball would fly off the porch and roll into the woods. And this specific twilight evening was no exception. Sam reared his leg back and kicked a fastball toward Ian's goal, who jumped to block the ball. Ian successfully blocked the kick, causing the ball to ricochet off the balcony and into the woods. So the boys trotted off the balcony and toward the trees to recover the ball. And that is when they saw it. Just past the tree line of the woods and past a small creek, Ian and Sam saw an all-black, opaque figure standing about 6 feet tall. It was so dark that they couldn't tell if it had fur or feathers, but it was incredibly muscular with a beak-like mouth. It appeared to be gliding, and though they couldn't discern wings, it gave off the impression that it would have the ability to fly. Despite its stance being so hard to see, it was so incredibly unnatural. The majority of the creature's weight appeared to be on the top, with smaller legs, and it had piercing red eyes that resembled bright, shining rubies. It had an inhumane aura to it, and just upon seeing the creature, gave Ian the sensation of absolute dread. His stomach turned in fear, and he felt like he wanted to drop to his knees. After a long stare down, Sam must have felt a rush of curiosity and bravery as he darted full steam ahead toward the creature. Now, Ian ran after Sam in complete fear of the creature, but wanted to convince Sam to turn away and to get back to the house.
What was Sam's plan?
I'm going to catch it. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to fry.
Tonight.
I was going to say we're going to eat good tonight. However, as soon as they got closer, they noticed it was gone. And not like it ran away and it was gone. Like it completely disappeared out of nowhere. Ian states he knows it sounds crazy, and they felt clueless as to what they witnessed, both the creature and its disappearance. So unsure of what they witnessed, and wanting to have some sort of concrete quality to this entity that they just witnessed, they decided to start calling this creature the Phoenix. Now, in my mind, taking a step back from the story, speaking for myself, I'm thankful that Ian and Sam were there together. Because when it comes to peculiar encounters, I think it's much easier to doubt what you witnessed when you were alone. I think having a buddy by your side goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, especially with the fact that when they got there, it just disappeared out of nowhere. It's not like they saw it run off in the distance. If you see that by yourself, I feel like you just instantly start second guessing.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know. That was probably just something weird. I hallucinated that.
I'm going cuckoo for cocoa nuts.
To me, it
Cocoa
sounds
Puffs,
like
not cocoa nuts. You know, it's been a minute.
To me, it sounds like a thunderbird.
Yeah. See, I looked that one up, but
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's more like a real bird.
Yeah.
Big bird. Not giant eagle, but you know what I mean. Like it was like shaped like a bird, but big. Where this is, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like if you zoom in on a picture of a bird and then you like make it enlarge it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the thunderbird. It's like a Bigfoot-like creature with bird-like qualities.
Yeah. Okay.
So going back to Sam's character traits, because he's a leader, right?
Yeah.
Man of action, on top of shit.
He ran toward the thing.
He did. Very brave. A little crazy. Very brave. So naturally, he created a plan. And that plan was to completely map out the woods. Like literally. Like they marked the water, they marked trees, they marked land points, all of it. Now I will say, I can see gears turning in your head. Like, think about this. This is a very actionable approach for a couple of like 13-year-olds. Like this isn't like 20-year-old. Like, okay, we could go on Google Maps right now. Pull up Dallas, Georgia, Google Maps, blah, 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 blah. Like these are 13-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Like it's very adventurous. Like we're going around. We're going to map out the woods.
Yeah. It's so Lewis and Clark.
Exactly. And are you saying that the Phoenix is Sacagawea? That's very racist.
Sacagawea to their Lewis and Clark.
This is the first reference you've made that I've picked up so far.
Only if they capture the creature and they force it to marry them.
Oh God.
One of them.
It just burns to ashes. It's like, nope, I'm out. I think it comes out from the ashes, right?
A phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, but does it also burn?
Yeah.
So yeah, when they say that, it just, I'm out. I will say, and this is a theory. This is my own theory. He didn't say this in the message. This is just my own theory. What does a map do? A map turns, it lays out like a blueprint, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is not a coping mechanism. I think this is a way of taking an unknown and turning it into a known. It's like, we don't know how to deal with this weird thing we just saw. We know where it happened, and that's unfamiliar to us. So why not turn this unknown into a known? What we can control. Now that could be a lot more insightful and they really could have just been like, let's do this. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's my thinking. That like a way of handling the situation.
That sounds right subconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm breaking into their subconscious. They're welcome. And it sounds like it might be more fun than successful, but at the same time, it was not completely a dead end. They discovered quite a few odd things while walking around and making this map. First thing, they found at the end of the woods a giant lake, and they said if you squinted hard enough, you could see a barn across from the lake, but they were never able to make it there. I don't know if it's like a freestanding barn or like a boat shed. I don't know, but there's something unique about that. We never go back to that, so don't wait for that to come back. It doesn't go back into play.
All right.
This isn't like the Chekhov gun that you're cocking.
That's what I was thinking about.
I love foreshadow. I love setting things up. That's why I'm breaking this now. This never comes back, but it's still interesting. But I will say this. The most notable and unusual discovery that they made in those woods were these weird nests. They described it as if some type of giant bird grabbed tree branches and bent them and turned it into a home. And it wasn't one singular occurrence. It wasn't like they found one of these nests. They found multiple throughout the woods, and Ian said it was nothing like he's ever seen. These nests had one large tree in the center, and the branches and everything would be bent down to shape like a lowercase n. And then sticks and this other substance, which he was not familiar with, was wrapped around it. Kind of insane, right?
That has captured my attention.
Yeah, like, all right, all that other shit, yeah, that was bullshit. Like,
That's
soccer, I don't care about soccer, but nests.
That is crazy. Wait, really? Did they get like a picture of it or no?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm still interested.
Right. So they went around, they completed their map to the best of their ability, and now it was time to use it. So what they did was they picked a weekend around the midday because they wanted the sunlight, not trying to get too spooked out, and they began searching, essentially hunting this creature. They searched and they searched and they searched all day and found nothing until just after the sun had set and night was closing in and it began to rain. Scene, right? Like darkness,
that's
rain. So Ian had made a jump across this small stream, the one that I actually mentioned earlier, to go back inside after they were looking and they were kind of down. It was an uneventful day. They didn't find anything. And Ian turned to look for Sam in the rain, and he saw the creature again. But this time, Ian was sure that this creature, this phoenix, was staring directly at him. And unlike the first time they saw it, the creature's body was convulsing, aggressively breathing in and out, like every single breath that this creature took was painful. Without Sam by him, he felt exposed and vulnerable, frozen, unable to move. He shouted Sam's name, and a moment later, again, he saw Sam dashing through the rain, charging this creature. With adrenaline in his veins and following Sam's lead, Ian followed. They jumped over logs, they swerved through trees, and even jumped over a hill just to get to this creature, who up and vanished again.
Oh, man.
They've been ghosted.
To me, that felt like the Battle of Helm's Deep.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Gasping for breath and hunched over in the pouring rain, the boys promised that the next time they spotted the phoenix, it would be the last, and they would catch it. About a month passed by, and they found no signs or sightings of the creature. But that didn't stop them from continuing their search and uncovering every inch of the woods in their map. On one particularly hot summer day, Ian and Sam were searching the woods and decided to take a new path that they actually hadn't previously explored. And this path led them to a giant dead tree with a stream of water running to it. And putting two and two together with this dead tree and this running water, the boys were confused why this large tree was dead when there was flowing water nearby and there weren't any signs of destruction and the surrounding trees were unharmed. So while they were investigating the tree and trying to understand what happened, the boys heard a noise that Ian can still clearly depict to this day. It was the sound of a heavy chain being dragged through leaves, and it sounded further away at first, but every single moment it got faster and faster, and the chain sounded heavier and heavier. The sound caused an uneasiness that even Sam couldn't bear, so they both took off, sprinting back towards the house. As they ran out of the woods, Ian quickly turned around with his iPhone and took a picture behind him. And when they got back and they checked the phone, they saw it. They finally caught it. It was shaky, as all of these pictures typically have to be, but it was still clearly something in the picture. Something unexplainable. Ian's mom greeted them after they sprinted all the way back to the front door of Sam's grandma's house because his mom was picking him up that day. And she asked them why they looked so manic. And Ian knew that she wouldn't believe them. And so what was the point in explaining anything that she would never believe what they witnessed? So instead, he opted to just show her the picture that was on his phone. Do you know what her response was? She said, "Oh, that's a gorilla."
Casually, like, "Oh, that's just a girl in the woods."
The tone was not explained in the email. However, in case you are siding with the mom, let me remind you, this is Georgia. Georgia. It was not a gorilla. There was no loose gorillas in the news. It didn't have the demeanor of a gorilla. Didn't have the presence of a gorilla.
No, this was not in the Congo. This was Georgia.
Yeah. Congo. I don't know what year that came out, but it had Tim Curry in it. So despite Ian's mom kind of shoving it off, in their minds, this was it. This was the proof that they were looking for. Essentially, the second best thing to actually catching this thing, which clearly they were not going to do. So it was something. That was actually the last that they saw of the creature. And despite that, Ian still strongly feels like it's still out there in the woods. Epilogue. About 3 years ago from now, like we're in now time. About 3 years ago, Sam actually passed away. And whenever Ian visits his grandmother's house, he refuses to go into the woods. He says you can feel a negative energy radiating as clear as day from the trees. And as he's gotten older, the distinct qualities of the creature's face have become less and less clear, but he can still remember how it was so dark and had barely any distinguishing features except for that beak-like mouth and those ruby red eyes. And of course, the sound of that chain getting dragged through the leaves.
Oh man. Wow, that's intense.
Yes, so that is Ian's story. Yes. So again, thank you, Ian, for submitting the story. Crazy. And I don't mean crazy is unbelievable. We'll get to that. Crazy as in what a ride of a story.
Yeah, that is ups and downs.
And I would like to say, Ian, condolences for your loss.
Yeah.
Sam seems like, and I hate saying Sam because I know it's not his real name, but being respectful, he sounds like he was a really courageous young person, a lot of ingenuity and ambition. So it's a shame. So like I said, I did a little digging into Georgia cryptids, and there are some. You alluded to one, but a lot of it didn't seem to quite match up. But I don't think this is a perfect fit. So I'm not saying here's an answer to what Ian experienced. I'm just saying in my research, this is what I found, and I thought it was interesting, and maybe very, very loose parallels. It's a first-hand experience from a grandfather and a grandson, and I'm going to read for you what was written. It's a first account, first-hand experience. So I'm going to read that to you, and I'll get your thoughts after.
Okay.
So here is the experience. Quote, "This happened to me and my grandpa on a hunting trip in July 2008. I don't see my grandpa very often, so I always take the chance to take trips with him. Grandpa is pretty much an outdoorsman and enjoys hunting, fishing, just being out in nature. Grandpa and I went out in the woods. I was 18 at the time. We were on my grandpa's land in Georgia. It's a pretty place with the typical Georgia woodland and, few grassy plains. We were walking on a little rocky road, heading for a site where my grandpa often sees deer. As normal, there were a lot of sounds going on at night in the woods. We ignored most of them and remained quiet to not scare anything away. Suddenly, we heard an unusual noise we never heard before on our many hunting trips. Grandpa looked at me and listened. Then he raised his finger in front of his mouth to show me that we shouldn't make any more movements. I heard a lot of movements and more of the noise. I can't really describe the sounds, but I sure can describe what I saw, even when it was pretty dark. We just kept listening to the sounds as suddenly as something came walking slowly out of the bushes and onto the road maybe 150 yards in front of us. My eyes got really, really big, and at that moment, I wasn't even scared, just amazed to see this creature. We didn't move. As crazy as it sounds, it looked just like a raptor from the popular Jurassic Park movies. I just froze because I thought things like that lived thousands of years ago. It had a long, stiff tail, walked on 2 feet, and had short arms. It looked lizard-like and had huge claws on both hands and feet. Since the creature appeared to us that it could run fast, we decided to just not move at all. It raised its head in the air, and it seemed like it was smelling something. I estimate its height about 5 feet at the shoulders. After sniffing the air, it made these sounds again, and turned around and ran off into the bushes. Grandpa and I waited until we felt safe again, and then quietly made our way back to the truck and drove home. In the truck, we talked to each other about what we'd seen and decided not to tell Grandma because she would think we were crazy. I never really believed in stuff like ghosts and creatures and paranormal stuff, and I still don't believe in ghosts, but since that encounter, I believe in creatures that science doesn't know about. Unquote. And that cryptid is called the Georgia Raptor. Now, why do I bring that up? Because raptors in more recent years, like 20 years, have been more related to birds. Bird-like qualities.
That's true, yeah.
Feathers, beaks. You know, it's like the way this is described. Again, I'm not saying that these are the same things what Ian saw and what this grandfather and grandson saw. I'm just saying out of all the stories I found, this seemed like the closest bird-like, creature-like 5-6 foot.
There is a prerequisite to that story, though. And that's the grandfather, while on the way out there, gave him a bump of cocaine that he didn't tell you about.
Yeah, it's just Rick and Morty. So, let's discuss.
Yeah, let's discuss.
So what are your thoughts? Now, don't, this isn't about the grandfather and the grandson. Consider that an aside, like something that I could potentially relate back to it. But this is Ian's story. This is about the phoenix in the forest.
Yeah.
So we'll focus most of our energy there. But so tell me your thoughts. I'm very curious.
I agree. I do want to mostly talk about Ian.
Yes.
I do just want to point out really quick that raptors were more like millions of years ago, not
thousands. Yeah,
thousands.
Grandson. If that is your real name.
It's the musician grandson.
Another reference.
I know. All right. So, Ian's story. Okay. This probably sounds insulting, but I don't mean it that way. It sounds like the last summer before the kids grew up and they're trying to find a monster in the woods.
Is that a stereotype?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen
maybe
that
not a trope, yeah.
In movies a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't think that discredits what they saw. I think...
It wasn't like they were 18, though, and they were like going to college the next year. I mean, they still lived there for like 4 or 5 more years, I'd assume. Like 13.
Mm-hmm. They never saw it dead on, though, or did they?
Twice.
But it was like dark. And they saw the outline?
Yeah, it was a very dark creature at nighttime that it was hard to discern the shape, much of it. It was pretty much like the beak, the eyes, and the feeling that they got.
Yeah, that feeling, that presence, and I like that it still persists.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very interesting. Did they sense any intelligence? I don't think I caught that.
They didn't say anything about that, no.
I wonder if it remembered. Like, he said he felt it later when he went back there. He refused to go in the woods later.
Yeah.
I wonder if that presence remembered him.
I don't know.
That's interesting to me because I think that's why he would feel that now and not back then.
Yeah, like it's kind of calling him out. Like once they took its picture, it like latched on. Not like latched on, but it's now like it knows that the way that they know it exists in the world, it now knows they exist in the world.
Yeah, like cause and effect almost.
Yeah.
I wonder how far those woods go if it connects to anything else. Because they said they mapped it out.
Well, there's a large lake.
Yeah. It really feels a lot like Bridge to Terabithia. A little bit. I wonder how much of it... You know how you said that it's good to see things in pairs?
Yes.
There's also a negative to that, though, too. And that could be hyping each other up.
For sure. Absolutely.
I wonder if any of that could have come from that. Like, I saw this. Oh, yeah, I saw this too. But also, yes, and they end up yes-anding each other into believing there's this giant monster.
If they saw it one time, then I would agree. But they did see it twice.
Yeah, you're right.
If it's a one-time occurrence, you can hype the shit out of that. But if you see it twice...
That's true. I think that gives it credit. It gives it more credit because they did see it a couple times.
Also, and I don't want to read too much in this tone. First of all, I feel really bad for Ian because now he doesn't have the person, like, he no longer can share this experience.
Yeah.
Which I think, and again, this is me putting, I don't want to put it on him. I feel like the fact that he cares enough about this to give his best friend an alias, I feel like he wants this story out there because he no longer has somebody to share it with. And there was kind of like a tone in the email that was kind of like, please let other people know this exists, rather than like bragging about this cool story.
I got that from your story.
Yeah.
I understood that, and I believe there's some weird stuff in the woods, man.
Okay, so I want to talk about this really quick. Let me shift the conversation. What do you think this is? Because I have a couple theories. I don't have research for the theories. I just have, like pulling things out of my ass theories.
Okay,
I think there's three things that it could potentially be.
Okay, so the weirdest thing to me that it sounds like it might have been, bear with me, hang on. We've talked about it in passing before. The Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki?
Yeah. It sounds a little bit
people.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like an Anunnaki with the wings and the bird-like features.
Okay.
Yet
I can't prove you wrong.
Yet powerfully built. That's what it sounds like to me.
Lifting, bro. Yeah.
I don't know if it would show up in the woods in Georgia.
Yeah.
But maybe it would. I don't know. Maybe there's an untapped source of gold. I don't know.
You're just digging for gold, right? That's why he got pissed off. He's like, you're not stealing my gold.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, let's get the obvious out of the way. It could just be its own cryptid.
Yeah.
Like, this could be its own thing. What about alien?
That would lean into the Anunnaki.
That's true. It glides.
Yeah.
It has the ability to disappear, which makes it feel a little interdimensional.
Yeah, absolutely.
The glowing eyes has a little bit of that Flatwoods Monster quality to it. A little bit feels alien. And I have no notes about this. I didn't think about this until today. So it was hard to tell what it was. It was a very odd shape. It was kind of like the combination of a man and an animal, and it gave off a feeling of absolute dread, which is the key for me. What if it was a skinwalker that took on the shape of a bird?
Ooh.
Maybe not a phoenix.
Chills.
Not a phoenix per se.
Yeah.
Because he even said in the email that, looking back on it, like they called it a phoenix in their younger years, but looking back on it, he's like, I don't think it was perfectly a phoenix. That was just kind of what they called it. It became that for them. Mm-hmm. What if, and it wasn't until I thought about the absolute dread that he felt. Because that is such a skinwalker. It could be demonic. There's more things. But that is such a tell for me for skinwalker. And it's kind of like opaque, dark, they're incredibly fast. Mm-hmm. But it has like both like humanoid and animal, bird in this case, attributes.
Oh god. Oh, I still got chills.
That's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good idea. That's a good theory. That's a good theory.
Thanks, bro. But dude, it could have been a cryptid, could have been an alien, could have been Anunnaki.
I don't know. That's what came to my mind.
So now we'll take it like 3 steps backwards and we'll just take it at face value. Where do you put this on the believability scale?
Oh, I believe him.
Just the tone. The very first time I read it, I'm like, I'm going to have to do more research. I'm going to have to dive into this, but this feels pretty believable.
Yeah. There's a this thing happened. I need you to know that it happened kind of vibe. Yeah.
And there was very little on the bullshit meter of like over detailing or like making like qualities that you would make up. Like I felt true friendship in this. Mm-hmm. I probably didn't portray it as well as I read it, but like the friendship bond, like the quality between Sam and Ian is better than I've read in some books. Mm-hmm. And maybe that feels a little dramatic, but I just really felt it coming from the email. So I hope I portrayed it that way. But there's just a lot of very believable qualities in the entire story beyond just the entity, the creature. So I agree with you. I give this a believable. I probably should know that. And again, we're not just doing this because it's a listener submission. We don't want to offend the people because we've done it before. I've done skeptical on a listener submission. Sorry. This does feel very believable to me.
Yeah. Also, to me, he doesn't make himself the hero.
No. He makes himself the sidekick pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And that to me screams like you wouldn't do that if you were making up a story.
Yeah, if you were fabricating a story, you're the hero. Yeah, we caught it. I tied it up. I saved my friend.
Yeah.
We didn't get a picture, which, by the way, I did ask Ian if he finds the picture again, because he obviously doesn't have the same phone now that he had then. to send it. And it's funny because you might assume if he caught this amazing thing that he would just have it on hand. Charlie and I have an EVP. I have no idea where that thing is. Just because you catch something cool doesn't mean you savor it. You like put it on your mantle, like get it printed out at Walgreens.
Yeah, when I was in 8th grade, I got a picture of a spirit.
Where is it, bro?
It's gone.
What? You're lying.
No, I swear
Unbelievable.
to God,
Bullshit.
I was proving your point. I don't have that anymore.
Okay. Well, that's because you're lying. He's telling the truth. I give it believable. And that is the story of the phoenix in the forest. So that is our story. Thank you so much to Ian for sending it to us. Again, if you want your story, eventually, told on the podcast, head to our website, www.believingthebizarre.com. Should be easy to remember. It's the name of the podcast. And go to the tab that's Submit Your Experience, fill it out, give us as much detail as possible. We'll hit you up, and it'll be on the podcast, as long as it's more than 2 sentences.
You know what else is on our website?
What is that, Charlie?
Our merchandise store.
Oh, yeah.
And also our very new ringtone.
Yes, that's true. If you like the intro music or the outro music of the podcast, you can head over to our, well, I think right now, you know, by the time this comes out, both of them might be on there, but at the recording of this, I think it's just the intro music. But you're right.
Yeah, the kids call it a bop.
Yeah, they say it #slaps.
Just turn it off now. Just turn off the podcast now.
Yeah, you're done. We're old over here. We're crusty and dusty.
But yeah, we've also got t-shirts and we've got face masks. We've got
hoodies.
Yeah. Oh, very nice hoodies.
They are incredibly. I'm not just
quality.
I'm not just building these things up. They are incredibly soft.
Yeah, and that we got stuff to rock the pod. Oh, I'm
rock the pod.
That. Yeah. Ugh, it hurts.
That was pretty bad. And hey, you know what? Let's say you don't want to buy anything. Let's say you don't want to submit your story. If you just want to hit us up and say, hey, I like this. Hey, I didn't like that. Hey, I love this. Head over to Instagram and hit up our DMs. Or go to Facebook and join our Facebook group. It's private. We have to accept you in there. Hint, hint, we accept everybody.
Yeah, we don't not accept you.
We just try and keep it private just because some people go in and spam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So join that. We do polls, fun GIFs, graphics, memes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty funny.
It's a cool community. Or our Instagram. Those are big things. We're very approachable guys. We're humble. We're down to earth. We don't have lives. We're always on our phones.
Always.
Just like you.
Yeah.
Not the collective you again. So, thank you so much for listening. And as always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre,
a podcast as bizarre as you are.